Donald Trump's war may have opened space for both Israel and China to deepen their relevance in the Gulf. Washington could be in damage control mode after regional partners appeared willing to look beyond the United States for parts of their security and financial hedging. After the yuan controversy, the Trump administration appeared to move quickly to reinforce ties with a key Arab ally. Rubio holds crucial phone call with his UAE counterpart just as US-Iran talks had collapsed. That backdrop makes the Israel angle even more striking, since reporting said Israel sent an Iron Dome system and troops to the UAE early in the conflict to help counter Iranian missile threats. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio discussed the Iran war on April 26 with his UAE counterpart, as both sides reviewed the latest regional developments and the broader security fallout from the conflict. Rubio held those talks with United Arab Emirates Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan in a phone call focused on regional security, Iranian attacks, and efforts to preserve a ceasefire. The conversation came as US-Iran negotiations had collapsed and fears were growing that fighting could restart if diplomacy failed to regain momentum. UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, and I quote, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, held a phone call with Marco Rubio, US Secretary of State, to discuss the latest regional developments. The two sides reviewed the repercussions of the unprovoked and terrorist Iranian missile attacks targeting the UAE and a number of countries in the region, and their impact on international peace and security, energy supplies, maritime security, and global economic stability. During the call, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed expressed his appreciation to the US for its full solidarity with the UAE following this terrorist Iranian aggression. They also discussed the latest developments in the region, particularly those related to US President Donald Trump's announcement of a ceasefire between the United States and Iran, and explored ways to achieve sustainable regional peace and security through strengthened collective action to address current challenges and support stability and prosperity in the region. In this context, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed commended President Trump's efforts to achieve peace and reinforce sustainable security and stability at both the regional and international levels. He also praised the efforts of President Trump and Secretary of State Rubio to advance peace between Lebanon and Israel, noting that sustainable political solutions remain the most effective way to address crises, enhance regional security, and foster a more stable and prosperous environment for the peoples of the region. The two sides further discussed the growing and evolving strategic relations between the UAE and the United States and ways to strengthen cooperation across all sectors. Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed reaffirmed the strength of the long-standing ties between the two friendly countries, highlighting their continued development within a solid strategic partnership, and the shared commitment to further expanding partnership and cooperation in various vital fields in pursuit of mutual interests. Unquote. Rubio's call with Abdullah bin Zayed also came after reports that the UAE had raised the possibility of using the Chinese yuan or other currencies for oil transactions if dollar liquidity became constrained. Notably, separate reporting said Israel sent an Iron Dome air defense system to the UAE early in the war, along with troops to operate it, highlighting how seriously Gulf partners viewed the Iranian missile threat. As Iran rained missiles and drones across the region, a new report reveals how Israel quietly used the chaos to deepen its security ties with key Gulf partners. Axios reports that Israel secretly deployed an Iron Dome battery and IDF troops to operate it on UAE territory early in the Iran war. Two Israeli officials and one US official told Axios this was the first time Iron Dome and its crews had ever been deployed abroad to defend a third country. That move marked the first ever Iron Dome deployment outside Israel and the US, turning the Emirati desert into a live testbed for Israel's flagship shield. One Israeli official said the UAE-based battery intercepted dozens of Iranian missiles aimed at Emirati targets, adding another layer to the Gulf's defense. The system was reportedly run by IDF personnel stationed on UAE soil, meaning Israeli soldiers were directly defending a Gulf monarch's airspace for the first time. Officials say the deployment was greenlit after direct call between Benjamin Netanyahu and UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed, sealing the deal leader to leader. During the joint US-Israel war on Iran, the UAE emerged as the region's most heavily targeted country, absorbing more strikes than Israel itself. Emirati figures cited in regional media say Iran launched roughly 550 missiles and over 2,200 drones at the UAE over the course of the campaign. Most of those projectiles were intercepted, but some still punched through and hit military facilities, airports, and civilian sites in and around major cities. The sustained barrages pushed Abu Dhabi to quietly seek extra help from allies willing to share real hard air and missile defenses, not just political statements. Israeli and Emirati officials now say their militaries have coordinated closely since the war's start on February 28, with near-daily contacts on threats and targets. Axios also reports that the Israeli Air Force struck short-range missile sites in southern Iran specifically to reduce the fire aimed at Gulf states. Those preemptive raids aimed to destroy launchers before they could fire at the UAE and its neighbors, extending Israel's umbrella far beyond its own borders. Deploying Israeli troops on Emirati soil is seen as highly sensitive in the Gulf, given domestic politics and regional optics around open military ties with Israel. Emirati officials told Axios that this war has already shifted public attitudes about who is truly seen as a protector when missiles start falling. One official said plainly that anyone who helps shield the UAE from Iranian attacks will be viewed positively by the public, regardless of past taboos. A senior Emirati figure stressed that the UAE is not going to forget what Israel, and Netanyahu personally, did to help during the worst barrages. Another official was careful to add that the same gratitude extends to other countries that helped defend the UAE, signaling this is part of a wider coalition memory. At the same time, sharing an Iron Dome battery while Israel itself was under threat is likely to spark debate back home about stretching limited defense assets overseas. Netanyahu's decision has raised questions inside Israel about whether diverting such a prized system abroad could leave Israeli cities more exposed in a long war. For Abu Dhabi, though, seeing Israeli air defense crews on the ground at a critical hour may become a defining memory that shapes future alliances. Officials in both capitals now say their partnership is the closest it has been since normalization, with security ties catching up to the 2020 political breakthrough. Emirati officials have also hinted at switching to alternative currencies, according to the Wall Street Journal's account of the talks. If access to US dollars becomes constrained or too politically costly, the country may feel forced to switch part of its trade into other currencies. In that scenario, the UAE could begin conducting some of its oil trade and other major transactions in Chinese yuan as well. Even a partial shift would chip away at the US dollar's dominance in global oil markets, at least temporarily. This move would also dovetail neatly with China's broader push to internationalize the yuan and expand its role in global finance.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.